All right, mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. JV wins Dogon SS. We are back once again with another video on
Yep.
the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Major shouts out to everybody who's been hitting that subscribe button. We certainly thank you for the support and for the engagement, and for anybody who has not caught wind of what we like to do here. If this is your first time seeing any of our videos, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video, because this is typically how we get down, people. This is how we do things each and every week, man. So just want to grow the community, grow the tribe, and we certainly appreciate everybody who has hopped on to the train thus far. And major shouts out in advance to anybody who hops on to the train in the future. So
Yep.
thank you very much. With that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. Got several interesting topics to talk about today. First up, we are going to discuss Master P being anointed the entertainment ambassador for the
Oh.
next Super Bowl.
Mhm.
For anyone who does not know, and refresh me on my Roman numerals because I'm terrible at this. What is LIX again?
That looks
LIX
like
is
that looks like 59.
okay. So Super Bowl 59 is going to be in New Orleans, and the mayor of New Orleans, Latoya Cantrell, named Master P. Anybody who is of the millennial generation, maybe some of the younger people know about Master P. I'm not sure, but the millennials and the Gen Xers certainly know who Master P is. No Limit Records, make them say real
Ah,
big during the night, real big in the mid to late 90s, and maybe a little bit in the early 2000s. But I would say the heyday was like mid to late 90s. But Master P was real big. No Limit Records had all of that stuff going on. Silk the Shocker, C Murder before he got bammed up, Mystical, some other people that he had on the roster. But yeah, Master P is going to be the ambassador, the entertainment ambassador for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. So we figured we'd talk about that because there's some interesting content to be had from some of the gains that will be realized as a result of this appointment. So
mhm.
this says Master P named entertainment ambassador for Super Bowl 59 by New Orleans mayor. Master P is set to make him say, if by you mean the NFL. The head No Limit Soldier is now the official entertainment ambassador for the next Super Bowl. New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell made the announcement during a press conference on Friday, which was August the 30th. Super Bowl 59 is set to go down at the Caesar Superdome in the Crescent City, which is New Orleans, on February 9th, 2025. And the mayor used the press conference to announce some plans for the big day and beyond. She began praising Master P as someone who demonstrates the real resiliency of this community and who shows that there's no limit. I'm sure that was pun intended.
Boo.
When you put your mind on accomplishing great things for the city of New Orleans. We are announcing Master P as the New Orleans Entertainment Ambassador, she continued. The mayor announced that the Entertainment Ambassador initiative will be involving creating what she called a no limit platform to stimulate educational and cultural opportunities for the city of New Orleans and her residents. This will be a collaborative of New Orleans entertainment advisors for film, television, and music, she continued. The initiative will involve classes to teach entertainment business skills, and there is also room for Master P to expand his efforts. Master P has the clout to connect New Orleans to more major special events and opportunities at every single level, Mayor Cantrell said. He will be a force multiplier for our culture, cementing our city on the world stage. Master P took the podium following the mayor. To bridge the wealth gap, there's a lot of things that we have to do to put money back into our culture. We have to teach entrepreneurship, we have to teach leadership, and we have to focus on the younger people in this community. I want more for the city of New Orleans. This past spring, prior to getting his new position, Master P had other ambitions. He wanted an NBA coaching job. While talking to TMZ at the time, the No Limit boss discussed the state of his hometown team, the New Orleans Pelicans. He said that the team, who went 49-33 last season, gave him something to look forward to. So that just goes on to talk about how he was expressing his desired ambition to become something of a coach in the league. But there you have it. That's pretty decent enough background information. So Master P is the entertainment ambassador for the next Super Bowl, and they're going to bridge gaps and introduce, New Orleans from a entertainment and cultural standpoint to the world, and they're going to create these different initiatives. So, what do you make of this appointment with respect to Master P, the No Limit head honcho, becoming the entertainment ambassador for next year's Super Bowl?
I think I can rock with this. I don't think I have any issue with this. I think it makes sense. I think he falls right in line with New Orleans culture. I believe. New Orleans. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, I think that he would do a good job representing. I would say. He's always at the forefront when it comes to speaking on a business side of things when it comes to entertainment and stuff like that, trying to get your money right and own yours and all that good jive. So for him to have like a invest fest of his own, but using but using the Super Bowl as the conduit, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that if he does what I think he would do, I think it'll be a nice little look for the city of New Orleans. Um, I hope he is bipartisan with this, and I hope he brings in some cash money people and some other people that weren't a part of No Limit. Because I got to be honest with you, man, the No Limit roster, the ones that you were naming, I mean, a lot of those guys are just away. Mysticals away, C Murders away. I don't want to hear anything from Silk the Shocker. So, so yeah, I think he needs to bring in some other New Orleans legends. I think that would be good for the look because New Orleans is one of those cities for whatever reason. I've grown fond to people that represent that city, whether I met them in person or entertainers. They seem to be very down to earth and very chill, cool people. And this is across the board. This is white, black, everybody in between, Creole, right? So they're real chill people. So I would hope that he brings in some real cool, chill people to make this a real solid event. But I like it for him. It's a good check for him. The guy's always about his money, so I'm pretty sure he's getting a nice little paycheck for this. I'm pretty sure the mayor is going to get a lot of good pub from this if it goes well, and I think it will. So shout out to Master P, man. I'm all down for this. He's got some stuff swirling out there about him, about his business practices. I'm sitting here talking about how he's always talking about business and stuff, but hell, even from his own son, he's a shiesty businessman. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to be up there talking about, but hopefully it's all on the up and above board. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sir Master P, the No Limit? What do you call that? General, going to be the ambassador of Super Bowl 59. What are your thoughts?
At first glance, I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. This is not a 50 Cent type deal where, you know, 50 Cent and Master P have a few things in common, specifically when it comes to some of the, films or television projects that they've been a part of and the perpetuation of certain narratives they're in. But I feel like 50 Cent leans into it more heavily than Master P does.
Mm.
I kind of feel like over the last decade plus, Master P, outside of whatever he has going on musically, has been on this, in my opinion, higher vibrational wavelength of trying to impart hard entrepreneurship and business management skills to the people who are most in need of those skills, in my opinion. It might be a bit centralized in terms of where he focuses because New Orleans is where he's from. So I'm not sure that he does it on like a national level, but it's something, and it's more than trying to put people in a rap studio or to put or putting them in or giving them, sneakers and putting them on a basketball court. So
Mhm.
from that standpoint, this gives me optimistic vibes. The part about this that I want to reiterate is the part where he says, to bridge the wealth gap, there's a lot of things that we have to do to put money back into our culture. We have to teach entrepreneurship, we have to teach leadership, and we have to focus on the younger people in this community. I hear all of that.
Mhm.
As someone who does not consider himself to be a younger person, I'm going to say that these are skills that even older people need, that
Mhm.
older people are in dire need of. But the point is, what I am in favor of is creating mechanisms that evolve us as a community from the conventional idea that you're either going to make your bones in sports and athletics, entertainment, or essentially by being thrusted into the modern day slavery system of employment. And I think the more of us that are able to be put in those positions to succeed in that regard, the better.
Mhm.
Like, for far too long, I think our community is conditioned that it's either sports and athletics, entertainment, or perpetual employment. And I'm not trying to downplay employment. I don't want to minimize it or dismiss it, but in
Mhm.
my opinion, employment should never be the end goal. It should always be an intermediary step. But I think a lot of people in disenfranchised communities, mostly black people, are conditioned to believe that employment into perpetuity is the end game. And there's not enough hard skills being imparted to our community on how to actually build generational wealth and the various plethora of opportunities and options that you can have at your disposal in order to be able to do so. So if Master P, through these types of initiatives, can at least start some of these various programs, I think that we'll be all the better for it. Like, I think a while back we talked about Ti and how Ti is building. He's buying buildings in Atlanta
Mhm.
to provide housing for like people in our community who are hard up. Maybe they are felons. They've been released. They're coming out of prison. Cost of living is high these days. The economy is in shambles, and things are expensive. You can't just leave these institutions and be able to provide a roof over your head. And I think one of the things that I said after that was good for you, Ti. But I think in addition to that, you should use your resources to create inroads for some of these people to learn some skills that can remove them from the modern day slavery system. And to that end, I don't know what progress has been made on that front, but it doesn't just stop with housing. And I think for a lot of our people, we are stuck in this hamster wheel where it's either employment into perpetuity or luck. Maybe you hit the lottery, or you're a basketball player or a football player or a rapper or an entertainer otherwise. And we need to understand that you can learn. And I've said this before, but I think more of our community needs to understand that you can learn things like cybersecurity, you can learn web development, you can learn how to code, start your own graphic design business, put more of our people in positions to be able to earn money in ways that are industry, marketplace, and recession proof.
Mhm.
And if I'm to take any of these words at their face value, put money back into our culture, bridge the wealth gap, teach entrepreneurship, teach leadership, then I'm going to optimistically hope that all of that falls underneath the umbrella of what it is that he's talking about. And as far as the rest of these rappers go who talk on this kind of stuff, I don't necessarily hear it elocuted in those various ways. So maybe Master P is the person to be the first to kind of jump into really doing it as opposed to merely paying lip service to it. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been talking, and I'm pretty sure he's tried, and he'll let me know that he's made efforts to unite people, and he's the only one that's actually moving his feet. So I'm pretty sure he's got examples of that. But he's always been a guy that has been, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but he always talks a good game. So I would hope that he would actually get some people together to actually do something in a mobile
Something.
situation. Yeah. But
Yeah.
honestly, I just think that people just look at him, younger people, even in our generation, as just an entertainer. And even though he don't rap no more, even though he's not really in the music business no more, there's a clip floating around online where he's saying that there's no more money in the music industry. That's why he don't make music no more. So he's doing other things, and he's telling people to actually have assets and stuff like that. So he's putting people on game, and that's kind of always what he's done. So if he's actually having like a seminar or something like that to actually get people on the right page, I'm all for it. But he's always been speaking that. And
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, is anybody going to listen or actually take action? And now more than ever, I think that people just need to take action on, as you say, because how employment is set up, you have to take action on getting yourself out of that wheel, and having something of your own, something that you can sell, something that can be in circulation into perpetuity, and it's yours. So whether it's writing a book, whether it's creating anything, cards, clothing, anything. And nowadays with the assistance of AI, the everyday person really doesn't have much of an excuse. uh, the investment in order to get a membership for an AI generating thing, a LLC and this and this and that, it doesn't
Mhm.
cost as much to get something off the ground as it did 5-10 years ago. And we talk about how AI is not, you know, it's not the wave, but at the same time, it's here and it's not going anywhere. And so whenever we did talk about AI, it was how can you use AI to get yourself out of being trampled by AI?
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a lot of ways for people to actually get themselves on the straight and narrow and to actually start making money and creating assets for themselves in the future, for them and theirs. So yeah, man, I'm all for Masterpiece messaging. Um, I've been a fan of his, as far as him actually trying to speak truth to power to people. I feel like, as an old head in the game, there's people out there that still talking about how they sip lean and they thug and how they used to sell. But every time I hear Master P talk, it's trying to tell me how to make more money. So that's why I've always been a fan of his. So when I said that in the first segment, when I was saying that, yeah, man, I've been hearing people throw dirt on his name about bad business practices. Back in the No Limit days, how he was basically running a slave ship. Um, you know, to each their own, man. It was the music industry, and that's how you make money. And this guy's about making money, so he did what he had to do, kind of thing. I'm not making excuses, but it makes sense why he would have burned a few people maybe in the past. But hey, man, older people, they do wise up. So hopefully he is on the right path, man. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm not gonna sit here and go, well, Master P was supposed to save us, or Master P was supposed to save New Orleans. And nah, man, this is a each one teach one situation, and everybody has to hold their own weight in this thing. So hopefully people take heed, man. But we'll see. We'll definitely see, man.
I think that's the thing. I think it's a bit of a form of circular logic. I feel as though people will take heed, but someone just has to do it tangibly.
Mm-hmm.
Like put put a tech put a startup hub in one of these communities or neighborhoods. Like we see things, like hubs for startups where you
Mm-hmm.
pay a membership. You see a lot of these things popping up, but you see them in upwardly mobile areas and they're not cheap to be a part of. And I can somewhat understand the cost of it because the resources and the infrastructure that a hub provides you
Mm-hmm.
as you try to get your startup off the ground are considerable. So one can understand why the membership fee for that would be higher, but create inroads to make it more affordable for people in your own community. Not everybody's going to pick up a microphone, dribble a basketball, or throw around a football. And
Mhm.
right now, people don't really be listening to what people like Master P talking about, I believe, because no one's really seeing it. No one's seeing the startup hubs being, developed in inner city neighborhoods. No one's seeing the tech schools being built in inner city communities. No one's seeing these things. I mean,
Mhm.
we hear about things like AI and learning how to code and learning disciplines in cybersecurity and data analytics, but you're not seeing enough people represented from the community to provide enough examples. In my opinion, I think because the pathways to put people in these various disciplines aren't existing in these communities and neighborhoods up to this point thus far. You have to you kind of have to kind of be groomed in it in an incubator, luckily, and that's how you find your way there. Or you kind of basically have to stumble upon it randomly. But in terms of like, how can we get more people from these neighborhoods, from these communities, from these circumstances to view this as a viable option? It's not really happening because we don't see enough of it. And so I don't know what's going to happen from this initiative that he got going on as the ambassador. But I do know one thing, and I know this from personal experience. There is a such thing as being marketplace proof and recession proof. Right now, a very small percentage of this population earns money in a manner that shields them from the pitfalls of economic drawbacks and volatile marketplaces. And the majority of those people do not look like us. The majority of us, still to this day, if we're not getting it with a ball or on a microphone,
Mhm.
we're being funneled into the slavery system. And again, I'm not trying to dismiss employment. I am an employed person, so I don't want to dismiss it, but it's an intermediary step. It's not a means to an end. And I think it's important for people like P, who loves to run his mouth about entrepreneurship and leadership and business acumen, to actually put his money where his mouth is, quite literally, and start the process of creating these institutions, creating concrete pathways that can put your people in the best possible position to be removed from the types of environments that can have them victimized by these ridiculous volatile marketplaces and the up and down forces of nature of the modern economy.
Mhm.
Not enough of that is happening at the moment. There needs to be more of it. We'll see. I'm not going to hold his foot to the fire because I understand there's all kinds of powers that be that may, you know, wrangle you in and prevent you from doing what should be done. But hopefully he can be an exception. Hopefully we'll just have to see about it.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is one of the greatest misconceptions that I think most people have is that they think that the change has to be in mass, and it's not. And if people want to look at how the world's wealth distribution is, there's only, what the 1%, and those are the people that are really moving things around, and the 99 or the 90, whatever percentile you want to break it down into, is going at their whim. And so I would say the same would have to happen in our community. There's going to be 90% of people, or 99% of them, that will not get it, and they'll just move with the Joneses or whatever the 1 or 10% had to say about things. So if Master P, because I'm not considering him part of that 1%, he's been up there long enough to actually make a change. But if there's somebody in that audience that actually did hear what he had to say, that 1 or 2 people in there, that's what the impact is. I had a professor at FAMU, man. Shout out to FAMU. And she's in there dropping jewels every class. And people in there texting, talking, not paying attention. And after class, I went up there and spoke to her. I said, "Hey, man, it was me and like 3 other people out of a class of like 50." And it was like a few of us up there, and we would always go talk to her after class because she had a lot of stuff to tell us. And so, one day I was like, "Hey," because I had enough. I was like, "Hey, how do you do this? How do you talk to all of these people, but none of them are paying attention? Like, how can you, what keeps you going?" And she said that she said, I'm not talking to them. And she said, I'm talking to y'all. And she pointed to the few people that were standing at the desk. And she said, you are the people that need this message. And the rest of them can do whatever they want. But you are the people that's supposed to be making an impact. And so the same thing goes for Master P. If he's up there just spewing whatever stuff, if he's spewing just to get a paycheck, that's fine. But I'm sure there's knowledge and information being shared in there, networking and other things that are being shared in there. And there's going to be the 1 or 2% that actually do take advantage of it. And those are the people that actually have to make the wheels turn in motion. But to expect everybody in that audience to get up and start networking and making things happen on the real, that is wishful thinking. And so it requires that 5, that 10% of people that actually have the get up and get them, that burning desire to actually make an impact. So if there is actually something to come out of this, hopefully those people attend and get the jewels that they need to actually create these institutions that we're speaking of now. So
Yeah.
shouts out to Master P, man. If he's out here shilling just for a check, you still have to put on a show and entertain the people in a sense where you still have to put them on game. And so for everybody that does attend, I hope that 1 or 2% actually receive the message. You know.
Yeah, shouts out to P. I actually think that people like him needs to be on the ground actually putting
Yeah,
money and resources into the development of these pathways.
I
Like
agree.
it's more than him being a showman and a speaker towards it. You
Right.
got to build it. Once you build it, then as you put it, that small percentage they'll follow, but it's got to be built first. So
Agreed.
hopefully it gets built, man. We'll see what happens. I just thought that what he said was interesting, but
Mhm.
who knows? We'll see what comes of it. But shouts out to Master P for now.
Shout out to New Orleans, man. Shout out to
Yeah.
Currency, one of the best rappers in the game. Shit.
Now we got part two of this conversation involving Lizzo and her recent weight loss transformation. Last week we talked about Lizzo because she started to tease the idea that in lieu of losing weight through what I would surmise is diet and exercise, she's going to enter into, well, not enter into because she was already doing it, but
Yeah.
she's going to put her thirst trapping into overdrive. Because I think one of the things that you said last week was, well, now that I got this new body, I'm going to take it for a spin.
Yes, right.
And you don't want to put it past Lizzo to take this new body for a spin. Because if she was taking it for a spin before she lost weight, you can best believe she's going to put herself you can best believe she's going to put herself into a Hellcat
Yeah,
and take it
seriously.
and take it for a spin. Not once she's as she continues to lose the weight, rather. But this will be part two of an ongoing conversation of this because the internet is now having fun at her expense,
Uh-oh.
wondering whether her weight loss is due to her being a user of Ozempic.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure anybody who watches traditional media who sees ads on a regular basis has seen ads for Ozempic. It's some kind of opioid weight loss solution. And this says Lizzo's weight loss transformation leads to Ozempic rumors. Earlier this month, Lizzo went viral for showcasing her physical transformation with an inspiring before and after. The hitmaker is someone who's known for being comfortable in her own skin, but fans were equally proud to see her prioritizing her health. Since then, she went on a trip to Bali with SZA and other close friends. This is where she announced that she'd be taking a year off. I'm taking a gap year and protecting my peace, she declared, sharing a clip of herself in the rain. Now she shared even more content from her trip, this time posing in a flirty red bikini, itsy bitsy teeny weeny red designer string bikini. Um, and so this is her sharing this. So this is Lizzo as she continues to do her thing, trying to lose weight. And that's what we got going on thus far with Lizzo on her journey. So there you go. We won't spend too much time on that. Um, this says while supporters continue to praise Lizzo for her commitment to being her best self, others have started to question whether or not the gym is the only thing helping her on this journey. Ozempic at work, one Instagram user writes in the Hollywood Unlocked comments section. Ozempic doing his job, another says under her bikini clip. While there's no actual evidence that Lizzo is using Ozempic, the anti obesity medication has become a go to explanation for celebrities losing weight. She's far from the only one to be accused of using it as of late, as Ice Spice has also been making headlines for a similar situation.
Mhm.
The Delhi rapper denies this and even hopped online yesterday to show off her gym routine in an attempt to prove those theories wrong. We beaten them allegations, babe. She captioned the workout video, though it did little to stop those who are eager to jump to conclusions. What do you think of Lizzo continuing to show off her fitness transformation, so on and so forth? So, I don't want to, count my chickens before they hatch, count my eggs, of course, before they hatch. So I'll let you provide some introductory commentary on what you make of people who are trolling Lizzo, suggesting that it's not actually the gym and conventional means that she's losing weight by. She must also be on that Ozempic. What do you make of that?
Um, I would say that, I wanted to give her credit, to be honest. I've seen enough simulation workout videos, but man, I'm not there the whole workout, so I don't know how much of the workout she's actually doing. But I guess the optimist in me wanted to believe that she was actually doing this the legit way, because Ozempic loss tend to be pretty rapid, and she's still a little plushy. So I figure she wasn't on the Ozempic plan, but wouldn't be surprised. We're dealing with celebrities here. This is bizarro world. Shout out to Greatness 810. He left a comment on our last video saying that he called this when the allegations came up, where she was out there being scandalous with those allegations, and he said he surmised that she's going to go on a weight loss venture after that and gain some praise to try to wipe away the previous allegations. And honestly, I didn't even think about that. But
Neither did I.
yeah, but to keep it 100, bro, this kind of falls in line with Lizzo-esque behavior. I would not be surprised if this woman is actually doing this. And the point that I was saying about Hollywood, or Hollyweird for that matter, we're dealing with the land of veneers. We're dealing with the land of plastic surgery, body augmentations. To think that any of these people are keeping it on the 100 when it comes to their fitness regimens or anything like that, one would have to be a fool, honestly, if they sat there and believed all of these things. When I was a young person and I would see these celebrities, one movie they're built like nothing, next movie they're freaking Incredible Hulk. I'm like, whoa. And then they'll show you that they went through some marine training and all this other stuff, but they were also on them roids. They didn't want to tell me that. And so when it comes to when we're dealing with celebrities, their solution to bad publicity is a good looking body. And to come out with a new bod or a new this or a new that. And so for Lizzo, I'm not surprised that she's trying to rebrand herself as a fitness person who's who's losing it the legitimate way. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's taking the cheat code here. This is what people in Hollywood are doing. This is what regular people are doing. So there's definitely side effects to this Ozempic life. So if there's somebody out there that's, flirting with the idea, please do your homework on this. I do not recommend this. But hey, we're dealing with the land of the weird. So, who knows what she's really up to. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Miss Lizzo and the fans possibly, implying that she's on that Ozempic pack? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about her being a celebrity and they resort to extreme measures in order to get particular kinds of results.
Mm-hmm.
So that point is well taken. I hope for her sake that this is now granted. We're giving we're giving we're giving some form of legitimacy to trolls, because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, these are people who are just trolling on the internet saying there's no way she did that and she just Ozempic her way through it. These
Correct.
are trolls. So let's be reasonable and make it clear that this is just people being, these are just people interneting at the
Mhm.
moment, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
This is just people interneting. But however, um, I hope that there is no, strange methodology that she's employing in order to get to this point, and that she is doing it reasonably the natural way, that being diet, nutrition, and fitness and exercise. I
Mhm.
think you said last week that a lot of times with, because she's a big girl, bro.
Yeah,
So
she's
like,
big.
so you can be, you can have a body type like hers and you can lose a lot of weight, but there's still going to be a lot hanging off the bones,
Mhm. Mhm.
and tightening it up may require some artificial means. You never know.
Mhm.
So that could be in play. Well, we'll see. But
Mhm.
I've seen it. I've seen big girls get into the gym, take it seriously, and it's like Steve Urkel going into the transformation chamber. And then he steps out of the transformation chamber and he's Stephon Arkell. Like I've seen it. I've seen it. Like some of the women I've seen, they really take it seriously. They get the dedication in.
Mhm.
Some of them got body types that can be approximated with Lizzo's. They come out of the transformation chamber and they got the body on them. And
Mhm.
it looks good and it's proportioned. Now, granted, things may look different with the clothes on versus off, but in terms of the shape speaks for itself.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be Ozempic, is my point, or
Correct.
any sort of ulterior means. If Lizzo one day, 1 or 2 years from now, is suddenly looking fine, who knows? It's on the board. Anything is possible. But I will say this: if there's one community of people who
Mhm.
does hope that she's on Ozempic, it's the body positivity crowd. I'm pretty sure that they are hoping
Uh-huh.
beyond measure that she is on something like Ozempic. Because I said last week, some of these groups that fancy themselves victims,
Mhm.
they've been trampled by the world. They need their champions. And I think the toxic body positivity crowd needs their people. They need their champions in the celebrity and entertainment space who can parade around unhealthily obese so that it can give them something to shoot for, in terms of there's nothing really wrong with the way that I'm living.
Mhm.
The minute that a champion is taken away from them, they lose their minds. It's why they went against Adele when Adele lost weight. Is why they went at Rebel Wilson when Rebel Wilson lost weight. They would prefer it if these people stayed fat.
Mhm.
It's not just the women. The men deal with this too. What's that guy's name who was in Superbad and Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh
Um,
Lord, I forgot that boy
Jonah
name.
Hill, Jonah
Yeah.
Hill, Jonah
Yeah.
Hill. Like Jonah Hill lost weight, and people went him on the internet mad because he lost weight, and he's just like, hey man, like what are you coming at me for? Because I decided to get better about myself. What are you so mad about? So obviously, the toxic body positivity people don't want to see their champions do better because they don't want to do better. They want to languish in their poor life habits. They would rather stay there. And the minute that a champion is taken away from them, they don't know how to cope with that. So they would prefer it if someone who was formerly a champion ceased to be a champion by means that are not natural so that they can be discredited. Because if you can discredit them, then at that point, they can continue to spout their toxic body positivity manifesto.
Mhm.
It makes it easier for you to continue to speak on this toxicity if you know that one of the main people that you used to clung to as a hero did it, and they escaped the confines of what you love so much, but they didn't do it naturally. They
Mhm.
didn't do it via the means that they're preaching that you should do it by. They did it the fake way. They
Mhm.
steroided it up. It's no different than in baseball when you got these home run people who hit all of the home runs. You find out that they were on steroids. Oh, okay, well now Babe Ruth is still the guy
Yeah.
because you knew kids. Oh, y'all didn't really do it. Y'all roided up. so we can continue to live in the nostalgia of the 20s and 30s with people like Babe Ruth and a little and Hank Aaron, because you new school kids are just doing it the cheating way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel. And so that's why I feel like these sorts of troll jobs pop up on the internet every now and again. These are tactical talking points, dangerous rhetoric, even being put into the ecosystem of the internet by bad faith actors who want to continue to perpetuate their toxic ideology. And there is a form of body positivity that leans on toxic, one which suggests you shouldn't leave us, stay here with us. Oh, you left us? Hopefully, you did it by cheating, because then we can continue to talk. Because if you cheated, then we still have some legitimacy.
Mm.
So that's kind of where I think stuff like that comes from, outside of the couple people who are going to troll her just because it's funny. But trust and believe, if she continues to go down this road and there's no evidence to her doing it other than the right way, there's going to be more and more people, and the sounds against her are going to get louder. So I just hope that she's prepared for that.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, man. Because and I agree, the body positivity situation, um, it has a lot, I would say, of bad faith actors. I know there's people in there that really, about positivity, but a lot of that is I hear a lot of trauma and the body positivity realm. But so I wouldn't be surprised if the bad faith actors are the ones that are actually trolling. But for this whole scenario, because this was a possibility when we came across the situation last week. I thought about the idea of her actually being on this, because I didn't even know about this stuff until this year. Um, I've heard of Ozempic for a very long time, but there was this thing trending on TikTok talking about Ozempic face. What the hell is that? So they were just showing all these celebrities that are just melted away, and people that weren't already big, but they were just accusing them of being on Ozempic. So I was like, what is this? So I looked into it and I found out that people can actually lose crazy amount of weight on this thing. And I've also saw that it's not healthy. So I don't put anything past. So that's what I'm holding this up to, is that I don't put anything past her, because she is up there. And again, this is the land of fake it until you make it, putting up fronts, capping everywhere. You really can't believe anything these people say, because when it comes to how they look physically, when it comes to their public appearance, when it comes to their ideologies or their whatever, it's everything is front facing and everything is a facade in order to, get more everything. So whether it's more views, more streams, uh, more articles written about them, their name in circulation, you name it. And so these people will do and say anything to remain on top. So I wouldn't put it past her to actually be on Ozempic or something else. So because Lizzo, she comes off as a cool person to people. She has this level of authenticity, and I say that in air quotes, that she's a smart person, so she comes off very genuine. But at the same time, I'm dealing with a celebrity here, which to me is no different than a politician, and they do have to say or do whatever to pander to make sure that everybody is on their good side. So I really can't go for anything here. I would hope so. This is my hope, is that she is actually doing it for her sake. The legitimate way. But again, man, when we're dealing with these celebs, bro, they're the fakest people on the planet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised if she's doing it a fake way.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. We'll see how this pans out. But she has the resources and everything available to her to be in a good looking shape later on. So and as I alluded to last week, once she finally does lose it and there is the excess, then she has a reason to get body augmented. And
Mhm.
I'm telling you, man, I'm sure she's going to consult the Cardi B Megan the Stallion, whatever type of doctors to get her to be I had to get my ass lifted. I had to get this. And she's gonna, And so I think that's the road that we're headed down. Honestly, at this point, bro, it is what it is. But I wouldn't put it past her if she is on the crack, So
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
put it
feel.
past.
Yeah, I feel that. I hope that it's not the case, but I do think that it's on the board. I do
Oh
think that it's on the board. But I do know one thing. There is an element in this particular conversation
yeah. Mhm.
that is rooting for that to not only be on the board but to be factual. And I do think that it is the toxic contingent within the body positivity philosophy because they don't actually want to achieve true body positivity. They want to be given a lifelong excuse for poor choices and bad living. And that group is very loud and they do have a certain following. It's always very pleasant to see when the real legitimate actual folks who are championing body positivity drown all of that stuff out. But be that as it may, there is a toxic element within that ecosystem that is quite loud and they're quite annoying.
Mhm.
And they are the ones who come for some of these celebrities when they do decide to leave the community, quote unquote. And I think they have a vested interest in her either staying big or losing her bigness illegitimately. And I think that those chorus of people will continue to get louder and louder and louder the better the shape that she gets in. And for me, I got my popcorn ready, waiting to see it happen.
Yeah, for sure. And while she's doing all this, just keep your clothes on, Lizzo. I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. And like I said last week, man, like I grilled Chloe Bailey on here, Sierra. I've grilled people
It's
that,
not about her body. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
about her body type. It's about the decency aspect of it.
correct.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
have some decorum, young lady.
Yeah. I think you're gonna lose. You're gonna have to lose that battle, bro, because like I told you last week, naked is the new clothing.
Yeah.
And like, to be naked now is to actually have clothes on, like no one cares. And if you criticize it, then you're like anti-woman or anti,
Oh yeah, my bad. I'm being
every yeah.
I'm
So
being a
so
misogynist right now.
yeah. You're definitely being a hater. You're a
Isn't
hater and a
that crazy?
misogynist.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm being a misogynist because I'm telling her to keep clothes on.
Right. Yeah.
My bad.
That's
Take
it's
your clothes
weird.
off
That's
then.
yeah. That is the world. That's the world that we live in. But you're gonna have to die on that hill, bro, because that one I can't. I can't. I wish I could help you on that one, but I'm sorry, man. Naked is the new wearing clothes. So she gonna be more naked than ever, and the rest of these chicks gonna continue to show up to these events and these public appearances wearing less and less clothes until eventually the idea behind their outfits is going to be they're completely not wearing one. And it's going to be, and that is going to be passed off as bold, fashionable, courageous, chic. Yeah. So just get ready for it because it's on the way. But Lizzo, good luck to you, sweetheart. Um, you are continuing to turn your back on your people. The more that you do right by yourself, and I hope that you are prepared for the onslaught of criticism because it is going to come, unfortunately.
Yeah, and if you're out there and you're really considering Ozempic because you're seeing the results that people are getting, I would just highly recommend you not do that. And hey man, you came across this video for a reason, Ozempic person. So please, man, reconsider and do things the natural way. You'll be more proud of yourself in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Facts. Facts. Now we got to talk about Ice Cube, who is resurfacing in social media troll world for comments that he made 4 years ago
I know.
or nearly 4 years ago. This is weird, but also not surprising. So comments that he made 4 years ago about the voting and election, about the voting process and participating in the voting process are resurfacing and trending because people are interpreting these 4-year-old comments as his way of saying don't vote, which doesn't even make sense. But Ice Cube 4 years ago essentially said, you know, the voting, he's not for one party or over the other. He's not anti-Democrat, nor is he anti-Republican. He's just on. He is of the mindset that true change is a collaborative, bipartisan matter. And the only way that you're going to see things really happen for real is if you're taking pieces from one side or over the other, the best parts, and kind of making it mix and doing what it does. Mind you, he said this back in 2020, in November of 2020, to defend himself against the idea that he is pro-Trump. Mm-hmm. And now, 4 years later, because this election cycle is going to become very crazy and stressful and just riddled with anxiety, I think for most reasonable people, this is being brought up. And Cube is defending himself against it even to this day, saying that he's not riding for any particular side. He's just on the side of what makes sense. So to provide a little context for people as we continue to lean more and more into political talk on this channel. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. So let me unshare that and share the right one. So yeah, we're leaning more and more into political talk on this channel, and I feel like it's inevitable. Even if we try to avoid it, it's going to pop up. But this says Ice Cube slammed for his resurfaced stance on voting as 2024 election cycle heats up. Ice Cube is getting slammed on social media for his past comments on voting. The backlash appears to be in response to a resurfaced video of Cube rebuking the idea of voting for the Democratic Party without demanding action in exchange for doing so. He originally posted it on his social media in September 2020. Ice Cube is out here telling people not to vote again, one user on X wrote over the weekend. While he sits in his $1 million mansion and black folks in the South are getting kicked off their Medicaid. Another added, Ice Cube is estimated to be worth $160 million. He can't comprehend why people with diabetes are living better lives under the Biden administration, or why people need their Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. Living in a wealthy, gated community has damaged this man head from reality. Cube eventually addressed one of the complaints on X. So this is that post there. He responded saying, "I'm not in bed with none of these clowns. So go get another booster shot and shut the F up." One user fired back in the replies, "You're a effing sellout, plain and simple. F you for that, all that gangsta stuff, but you're basically Trump's female dog." I don't know how that makes sense.
What's that?
Apparently in that commenter's mind, that's how he interpreted that response. Q previously made headlines for rejecting a call with Kamala Harris back in 2020 while she was running to be Joe Biden's vice president. We had spent a lot of people's time putting the contract with Black America together, and I just thought that getting on a Zoom call with 12 other entertainers, all shooting that they believe needs to be done, to me wasn't going to be productive. He told Fox Soul's Cocktails with Queens at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this share, and I'm going to share the original video for context purposes. So I'm not going to play the whole thing because the whole video is like maybe 4 minutes long. No, it's close. It's 5 minutes long. So here is what Ice Cube said back in 2020 that has resurfaced and now has him defending himself against because people believe that this is like evidence somehow of him telling people not to vote, or rather to not vote for the blues.
Yeah. What's up? It's your homie Ice Cube. I know a lot of people have been wondering, where I've been. I was real active before the election, talking about what's needed, specifically for the Black community. About 10 days or 2 weeks before the election, I pushed back, all the way until pretty much now. because I just felt it was a lot of noise, a lot of poison, a lot of people with their own agendas, personal agendas, or party agendas. And, they really wanted to attack me for what I was doing because it was outside of the line of what they was doing or what they believe need to be done. So when you recognize people really don't want to get to the truth, they just want to perpetuate, their own narrative against you. It was time for me to push back because, honestly, I don't really care who's the president. As you can see, um, I understand that no matter who's the president, you got to push them to do things for you and your community. Um, and so that's the agenda, to push whatever candidates in power, Republican or Democrat, to do what needs to be done. I think we've just focused on one party way too long. And, some of us are getting taken care of with that. And a lot of the community is not. Um, and so, I want to speak up when I see stuff like that. Um, you know, I just believe that when you really look at the problems we're going through, it's bipartisan, and you're really tripping if you don't look at both sides of the aisle and push both sides of the aisle to fix the problem.
All right, so that's pretty much the gist of it. I think that captures the meat and potatoes of what he was trying to get across, and apparently people are using this as a weapon, I guess, to suggest that this is bad rhetoric going around. Ice Cube shouldn't be listened to because he's trying to tell black people to vote against the Democrats and to not see the solution as both sides need to work together to fix it. So, you know, what do you think about the reaction to this and the fact that it's come up and how people are choosing to interpret what he said 4 years ago, although I'm sure he continues to stand by it?
First of all, I don't even see what he said that's so offensive to people. I mean, who can disagree with that logic, in the sense that whoever gets in the office, whether the person you wanted to win won or not, that your obligation is to push whoever won. So even if the person that you wanted to win won, your obligation is to push them to do what you want them to do. So I really don't understand where the confusion is coming from, outside of, as you mentioned in the last topic, internet trolls and or internet bots. But I'll tell you this, man. One thing that I am witnessing a lot of nowadays, hell, just like the last topic about body positivity, there is a number of cults floating around in social circles in the Western society right now. And this stuff here, whether you're blue or red, I'm witnessing a lot of cult-like enthusiasm on both sides. And if Ice Cube did say this, what made bro come out his mouth to say that? You know what I'm saying? He's a female dog and all this other stuff. Like, what? Like, how? Why would you have to be so aggressive about somebody's neutral stance? No, you need to be one side or the other. What? Can a man be neutral? Apparently not. And I've seen enough of this. And it was a video I seen probably a couple years ago where this woman who actually did you know, studies in cult behavior. and she made that was the first I've heard of someone saying that, there's things out there that you wouldn't even consider cult like, that is like cult like stuff. And one thing that this whole electoral process has shown me, honestly, within after Bush, probably,
Yes.
it has really gotten into this area of just blind submission to either side. And if you don't agree with one or the other, you're a pariah, you're a waste, you're this, you're that. Nowhere in anything that he said he wasn't going to vote.
Right.
So for people to be jumping and making these assumptions, calling him out of his name, to me, it just speaks to the mindset in which American people have been pushed to think like. And we always talk about here, thinking for yourself, having a mind for yourself. And one thing that guy that called Ice Cube a female dog, he doesn't have a mind of his own.
Well, and to me, it wasn't even a female dog; it was the sellout.
Yeah,
that
what's
was
that
that
about?
was the word to me. That was like, oh, I see where you're going. I see where you're coming from.
Super aggressive.
Yeah.
That's super aggressive. So, needless to say that I agree with Ice Cube standing here. This is basically what I say every other time that we talk about these situations. If I dunk on one side of the aisle, that does not mean I'm on the other side. That just means today's topic was about this side of the aisle.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But I will windmill off the backboard on the next side if I have to. So, because whoever gets into office needs to be pushed. The last thing I'll say is, I think the last time we talked about this type of stuff, I was talking about having actual lobbyists to actually push for what you want. And if you want something to happen in office, there's some people right now who would rather have somebody else in office, but if the other person got in, they still gonna push with their agenda. So the same thing should go for everyone else. And that's honestly the only thing he said here. So yeah, as you mentioned, to call him a sellout, to call him out of his name, I think this is just speaking to cult-like behavior and the mindset that they would like most, if not all, Americans to think like. And I'm here to tell you right now, I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. So what are your thoughts here, sir, on the backlash from Ice Cube for saying something 4 years? It's the fact that they had to dig it up too. So
yeah, it's wild. He probably looking at it like, why am I having to respond to something that I said 4 years ago? That's just how the internet works, man. Yeah, I'm with you. It is cult-like behavior. And what's so ironic about the insinuation of cult behavior when it comes to these politics is, if you turn on, the majority of the mainstream media is, in my opinion, anti-Trump, pro-blues. That's the majority of the media. And anytime I watch any of these news outlets, they will quickly point to followers of the Reds being a cult. Yet they neglect to bring up the fact that cult-like behavior has been matched by cult-like behavior on the other side. And your timeline of this observation is also correct. I think ever since the end of George Bush's second presidency is when we saw the rise of political cult. Of political cult culture, cult-like behavior in this country. It started with Bush, when it was Bush going up for his second term.
Oh yeah,
and it was
Gore.
Bush against what was that guy's name?
Oh, no.
John Kerry, I think.
Oh,
I think it was John Kerry.
Yeah.
And that was very tumultuous, and that's what started the whole thing. That's what started this whole the Reds are the bad guys and the Blues are the good guys stuff. Because George Bush was just evil, get him out of there, he's a bad guy, blah, blah, blah. And it progressed even further. And I remember in 2008, I can remember this plain as day, when it was Obama versus McCain. I remember following everything, because back then the candidates actually talked policy. You know,
Yeah.
back then things were civil and these people actually talked policy, not identity BS and fear tactics.
Mhm.
So, you know, I would follow along. I would watch the debates. I would read the clippings and hear about what they plan to implement or what they would try to do, some of the initiatives that they were behind. And I remembered saying to myself, McCain doesn't seem like he'd be all that bad at the job. I think he'd do a good, you know, I liked some of his stances. He was a red, so what? But see, I was also experiencing cognitive dissonance because as a young person who had just started to vote,
Mhm.
my realization that he's a reasonable person who might be quite befitting of the role was in direct contrast to my brainwashed conditioning that as a black person, I have a moral obligation to vote blue.
Mhm.
So it gave me a great deal of internal conflict. How do I reconcile this? Because this guy seems like he'd be pretty good at this,
Mhm.
but he ain't a blue, he's a red. How do I deal with this? And I can remember back then expressing how I felt like he might be pretty good for it. And man, you want to talk about getting roasted by people?
Oh yeah, especially back then, bro.
Oh man, like I wasn't getting roasted because I was arguing his merits
Mhm.
and they had legitimate points against his merits. I
Mhm.
was getting roasted merely because I was darker skinned and was like, oh, I might go red this time. I think he'd be pretty good. You know, he had an extensive career in the military. He served in public office. He had an extensive record of public service. He actually talked some of the stuff that I thought made sense. And that wasn't to suggest that I thought Obama would be bad at it. I just
Mhm.
thought McCain might be better.
Mhm.
What's the crime in that? But I was met with the same kind of reaction that this fool reacted towards Ice Cube, where if I even think to fix my mouth to say this kind of stuff, I must be some kind of turncoat.
Right.
And that was the point where I realized it doesn't matter whether you're a red or a blue, you're all culted. You're all drinkers of the Kool-Aid. You're not an independent thinker. You don't think for yourself. You subscribe to the cultish manifesto of whatever side you favor. And the troubling part about this particular election cycle is I can say these things, but the problem is you can't reason with somebody that in lieu of going blue, they should go red because the guy who's red is a raving lunatic. So you're caught between a rock and a hard place because we're at this unique point. We're at this unique inflection point when it comes to modern American politics, in which you can suggest to think for yourself and go independent and think of it your own way and maybe go a different route and think elsewhere. But if you think elsewhere, going elsewhere means you're supporting a rambling maniac in the Orange Man. So that's the unfortunate, unsettling part about this is in more civil, simpler times, I could sit around and say, hey, man, listen, you don't got to do blue if you grew up this way or look a certain kind of way. What are the things that resonate with you the most? What do you care about the most? What is it that you think are the most important when it comes to policy? And go that way, regardless of who the candidate is, just go that way. But don't think that you have some moral obligation to go one way or the other because of your upbringing or your environment or what you look like. That is the form of social conditioning that has been impressed upon you by those who came before you in your immediate environment, as well as mainstream media. You don't have to go that way. And I experienced that firsthand. But again, it's hard for me to try and do that now because now we got this three-ring circus where it's where it's either this side of the blues or this side of the reds. And in my opinion, I'm not really seeing which side is resolute more than the other for me personally. But I have firsthand experience with that, and I started to come to that realization all the way back in 2008. And
Mhm.
this was even before I realized that there were aspects of both sides that seemed reasonable to me. You
Mhm.
know, mind you, back in 2008, I was more a fan of liberal social politics than I am now. Now I'm almost universally opposed to most forms of liberal social policies. but back then I was in favor of a lot of liberal social policies, but I was also in favor of a lot of conservative fiscal policies.
Mhm.
And that's where the meeting of the minds for me took place. That's where I started to find myself saying, hey, you don't have to think all the way down the line with this. And I think
Right.
that that's the spirit of Ice Cube's message.
Right.
No reasonable person thinks
Right.
that one side has every single answer.
Correct.
I am fiscally conservative and I used to be socially liberal. At this point now, I probably consider myself more socially conservative. But back in 2008, I was more socially liberal and I was definitely more fiscally conservative. Now I'm more fiscally conservative and I'm moderately moderately liberal when it comes to social policies. But it's hard for me to strike that balance with people who are drinking the Kool-Aid when it just looks like you can either join the circus or, join the cult. Yeah, they're both are cults, but one is like a circus and the other one's like a liberal cult. Pick your poison.
Yep.
But I also don't see what was wrong with what Cube said, albeit 4 years ago. And I think the crux of the conversation centering around him being a sellout for merely suggesting that it's a bipartisan matter in terms of getting to true solutions is a misguided way to approach this entire situation.
That man, 100%, bro. And and for to imply that he's a sellout, because the big thing about the blue side, at least from when I was coming up, it was that blue side is for black people and red side is for racist rich people. That was what I was told. And if there was a black person that was going for the red people, they were Uncle Tom sellout Negro.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't even, because Cube didn't say I'm going red. He just said I'm in the middle, and even saying that is enough to draw the sellout card.
Yeah, apparently, because and that's the part about this that's like so cult like that. Yeah, you have to choose us, or you're not allowed to have an opinion. And but yeah, so that's how I was told about things. I was told that just vote for the blue people because they got your back. That's what they told me. They got my back. But I would say that history has told us that that's not true. And so and as I mentioned last time, man, things get done when you start throwing weight around, you start throwing money around, and that's when you're actually going to get stuff done in your favor. But if you're just singing "We Shall Overcome," if you're just protesting, if you're just posting a black avatar on your Facebook page, you're not doing a damn thing. And nobody has to do anything for you because, well, you're just going to post an avatar online. But there's some people that if we don't listen to them, we're not going to get paid. So they listen to those people. So politics is a money game. And you got to put your money where your mouth is, not your vote. Your vote doesn't matter. The electoral college matters. And your money matters. So if the people that were so cultish and so, fanatical actually put their finances behind what they don't invest in the party, invest in your ideologies. There's a difference here. So if people go, well, hell, I saw the Kamala ad and I gave her 20% of my last check. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, says Kool-Aid drinking Negro. And so I say to that guy, I say, now what is she gonna do with your 20% from your check? What's she gonna do with that? You know what I'm saying? Besides, spending on jet fuel or to produce another ad. Nothing got done with that. You need to pool that money together with other people who want to see changes happen in their community as well, and then go to these people with money. I bet they'll start dancing for you then. But in the meantime, they're going to just keep giving you lip service. And so these people out here, it's such a rhetoric, dude. That's all I hear. So, oh, there you go. See, there, look at this guy. He's. I've heard people call me a sellout. People call me a sellout. Close people to me. So, well, what's wrong with you? You know, you voting for the orange man? Orange man bad. I was like, okay, bro. First of all, and to go back to our little timeline where you was talking about the timeline. Yeah, man. You know, I voted in 2004. And 2006, 2007, I grew up, I would say. I was born again, if you will. And I really realized what the hell was going on in this world. And so, and I voted for Obama in 2008. There was peer pressure, man. I'm at a black campus. I'm in all these classes and stuff. I fell for the peer pressure. I was still a young man.
Yeah, you didn't have a chance.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, I was gonna go to my professors and and all this other stuff, man. I couldn't believe I fell for the peer pressure, but I did anyway. And I voted for the man, regretted it immediately. It was like post nut clarity, bro. It was like, damn, bro, I hit that. It was crazy. It was crazy, bro. I instantly regretted it. So when his re-election came around, I proudly didn't vote at all and never voted since. And I'm not telling people here not to vote, but I might be. But what I'm trying to tell people here is that, vote for what you believe in. All right. That's one degree of it. But then see, the political process doesn't happen every 4 years or every 2 years for your local state and all this other stuff. It is a constant process. And so you have to be intimately involved with the changes that you want to see and also put your money and resources behind it. And if you're not involved like that, the people that are actually involved are going to see what they need to see. And you're not. And our people have just been told to show up and vote and go home and then wait on change.
And wait for the free. Yeah. And wait for the free stuff.
And wait for the free stuff. You know what I'm saying? And last thing I'll say, speaking on the free stuff. Whenever I say, I don't want no more free stuff. What? Oh, you trying to hurt our people? Wait, hold on. What free stuff are you getting? Well, I'm not getting anything free. Why not? Well, because I got a job, I work, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, so what's the problem with the other people that look like us? What's going on with that? He said, oh, well, they get, it's excuses. It's like, you don't listen. The welfare state, first of all, that's going across all boards. All right. Everybody's in welfare state right now. All right. But at least I'll speak for our community. When it comes to the welfare state that our people are in right now, just waiting for more money, that level of dependency, because eventually one day they will cut it off. And you've been voting blue the whole time. And everybody around you've been voting blue for that. But one day it's going to stop. Then what's going to happen? So my whole thing is there needs to be ways that people are actually building towards something. So everything that I'm talking about is putting a brick down, starting a foundation. And if you're not putting down a brick and you're just waiting, well, then you're at the whim of whatever storm that comes through. And so my philosophy is not pull yourself up by your bootstraps or any of that, weird cliche stuff. My whole thing is that you have to put action behind this all the time and don't wait for the 4-year cycle. You have to be politically involved all the time. But that's not what's happening. That's not what the cult was trained to think like. The cult was trained to think vote every 4 years or every 2 years or whatever. And just show up and vote. And so my message is to people out there that are very passionate about voting. They are passionate about the political process. I would ask you to be involved with it just as much as you're involved in your favorite TV show, your favorite video game, or anything else that really matters to you. Because if you don't, then you will not see the results you want. So We'll see, man.
Well, that it's from that particular place that I talk about people like Master P creating inroads for the people in the communities that the politicians claim to care about. The blue politicians in particular, they claim to care about some of the people in these communities. That's why I talk the way that I talk about people like Master P actually creating inroads for those individuals to be prosperous as opposed to merely existing.
Correct.
Because that is the only way that you are going to see these people thrive instead of survive. It's not going to be because they receive more entitlements and handouts.
Correct.
And whoever can't understand that is unfortunately, and this is going to sound a little harsh, but they'll eventually fall by the wayside. And there's nothing that you can do about it. It happens with any given population. It is what it is. But understand that the importance of this is through creating these inroads through the pulling of money and resources and finances, not because you voted for a particular party. Case in point, when I was watching the DNC, and I got respect for Barack Obama, and I'm watching the DNC, and there was a point during his speech when he was talking about one of the primary reasons why people need to vote for Harris is because Harris is going to see to it that it becomes easier for Americans to be able to strive to reach the middle class. And I'm sitting back thinking to myself, as if that's something that should be stripped, as if that's something that people should strive for. Like, I got news for anyone who has not realized this, but the middle class is today the new poor class.
Boy,
like
it is.
being middle class is no longer something to aspire towards. Like, being a middle class, working class person in this country is tantamount to living paycheck to paycheck. And you literally cannot survive on your own. The only way that you can live functionally is if your income combining. The only people who don't have to deal with that reality are people who are above the working class threshold. Yet there's one particular party who's preaching that if you vote for them, we're going to make it possible for you to reach that coveted middle class.
Correct.
That's not something that you should be proud of. It is
Correct.
not something to be happy about. Being middle class is a pathway to surviving, living paycheck to paycheck into perpetuity. And again, I'm not saying that you should vote the other way. I'm just saying understand the importance of the collaborative effort, and to your point, the nonstop action that it takes to really be able to make inroads towards improvement. It's not about going to a poll at your middle school, filling in a bubble, and then you go home and wait on the free stuff.
Correct.
You need to put the money together to build the tech school in your neighborhood. To build, and I sound like a broken record, but I don't give a damn because I speak truth. You have to put these resources together, create these fundraising programs, create these not-for-profits, pull your relative credits together so that you can build these institutions that function in your neighborhoods that put people in position to not be middle class and therefore be dependent upon these archaic systems that don't do anything but leave you in perpetual brokenness and misery. So that's the place upon which I speak from when we touch on topics like Master P talking about, bridging the wealth gap. That's what bridging the wealth gap is. Bridging the wealth gap doesn't mean make a way for people to earn $50,000 a year, getting a check, clocking into a job. That doesn't bridge the wealth gap. Like, that's what has us in this situation in the first place. That widens the wealth gap. It widens it. It doesn't bridge it. Putting people in these office jobs, getting people these salary positions, that doesn't bridge the wealth gap. It doesn't. You have to put people in positions to be recession-proof, marketplace-proof, industry-proof. That's what that takes. Is everybody going to go? No. But you certainly need more people to go than what we currently have going on. And this ultra cult-like dependency on these political parties is going to leave you in quicksand. It's not going to get you there. So just to kind of piggyback off of what you described, and certainly calling people who speak on stuff like this in a manner of speaking like Ice Cube a sellout is perhaps the most counterproductive way to go about instituting the kind of change that you claim to care about.
Exactly, dude. So we'll see, man. We'll definitely see what happened, man. But these internet bots are going hammer, this election cycle, man. And because I know there's people out there that really think this way, but I would also be I will also be a fool to think that there aren't political bots out there, and to help fuel some of this cult like thinking and add fuel to the fire. So best of luck to everybody out there, man. Because honestly, whoever wins, we need to do something about it. So just like Hugh said, so whoever gets in there, it's on the people to push for what you want. So because honestly, I don't think either side of the fence right now is satisfied with our options, if you even want to call it that. So push for what you believe in outside of the political process of voting, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, I agree. I do think that all across the board, most reasonable people are generally frustrated.
Yeah, I would say.
Either way, the loud cult people are going to be on the internet saying you should and should not do this, but I think most reasonable people are frustrated no matter what the case is.
100%.
Uh,
Mm-mm-mm.
Shouts out to Cube.
Yeah.
All right, and now we have a very strange story involving an NFL rookie wide receiver named Ricky Pearsall. He was drafted by the 49ers, and oddly enough, he was shot in the chest as a result of an attempted robbery. A very strange story here, but we live in a crazy upside down world. And apparently, there are additional details involving the circumstances surrounding this situation that make it even more strange. So this says shocking new details emerged from aftermath of Ricky Pearsall's shooting as police officer reveals his harrowing first words after taking a bullet to the chest. San
Jeez.
Francisco 49ers rookie Ricky Pearsall asked a police officer if he was going to die after being shot over the weekend, according to reports. Pearsall, who was selected by the 49ers in the first round of this year's NFL draft, took a bullet to the chest on Saturday night after being targeted for his Rolex watch in downtown San Francisco. The
Mm-mm-mm.
23-year-old wide receiver was initially listed as being in a serious but stable condition before being released from hospital on Sunday. Following his release, a San Francisco police sergeant has revealed Pearsall's harrowing first words after he was shot on Saturday. Via NBC Bay Area Sergeant Joel Harrell said, "He looks at me and he's like, 'Am I going to die?' I'm just like, 'No.' I take off my hat because I wanted to make eye contact with him. I wanted him to hear me. I said to him, 'Listen, look at me. I know you don't know me, but I want you to trust me. It's not your time.'" Harrell was unaware that Pearsall was an NFL player until she began treating the wound. Before she tried to reassure him by saying, "Remember, you're going to be okay. You're strong. Be strong like you are on the field." And he listened, she added, via San Francisco Chronicle, "He calmed down, and that's what I wanted him to do." A 17-year-old suspect is believed to have been trying to rob Pearsall of his Rolex watch before a struggle ensued, and both of them were shot in the Union Square area. Police immediately apprehended the suspect, who was not wearing shoes, after losing them at the scene of the attack. They remain in custody as of Monday night and face potential charges this week. So, uh, craziness going on in these streets. Mr. Ricky Pearsall, who was good in college,
Mhm.
got drafted into a really good situation with San Francisco. Um, took one to the chest because somebody wanted to rob him for his Rolex. What do
Jeez.
you make of these? What do you make of these circumstances, man? Obviously, thankfully, he made it through, but yeah, almost. Things could have been way worse and all over a Rolex.
I mean, I gotta tell you, man. They call Chicago Chirac. They're gonna have to come up with a nickname for California, man. Because it's turning into a third world country over there. It is absolute, honestly, anarchy, and it's really turning into Mad Max Escape from L.A. over there. And I've seen so much footage of the literal carnage that's going on down there. I mean, literally, there's just waves of people living in the streets. Um, Outrageous crimes, broad day crimes. I've heard some of the laws they have out there where you can commit like an armed robbery and other things and be out in like no time. You're literally back on the streets. So I mean, honestly, I would say all of these athletes need to be watching what's going on. I don't know how many rappers we've heard over the last few years that go out to California and end up unalived. It seems to be what's going on out there. And honestly, man, if you're not from out there and if you're not familiar with what's going on out there, I really don't think anybody should be going out there, to be honest. I really think it's gotten to that point. And when I first heard the story, I was like, nah, Ricky P got shot. But then I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Because it falls in line with everything else I've been hearing about rappers who go to LA. So I think what happened with Ricky, man, this is just a theory. He carries himself like a brother. You know what I'm saying? He carries himself like a brother. He's tatted up, and he's doing his thing. And I think he's on radars for people. And I think whatever this kid thought it was sweet. So I'm gonna get him. So I've seen stuff from where rappers post stuff online, and people, people basically scout them and see their ins and outs, see what they got going on to either rob their house or rob them. That's also going on in Atlanta. And so I think with Ricky here, I think he unintentionally put himself in harm's way by being how he is in that area. And whoever this young man was thought it was sweet because it was a white guy. That's my theory. And they targeted him because of that. And he's a rookie, he's this, and I think they just thought it was a come up. And but to explain the shooting of him, I mean, I think that's just what's going on out there. Because I really don't think these young dudes right now don't give a damn. And like I said, especially in California, where the laws are so lax and things are just literal chaos, it just seemed like a recipe for disaster. So honestly, I think after this situation, there's going to be definite boost in security going on for athletic programs going on in California. And I'm pretty sure other athletes are going to start making lifestyle changes so they don't attract the wrong kind of people. So, yeah, man, honestly, stunting anywhere right now is kind of, when there's so many people that don't have, stunting anywhere right now is kind of like be careful. But when you're really out there in the Bay Area, I mean, sad to say that I'm really not surprised that something like this happened. And honestly, if these guys don't take more precautionary measures, there's going to be more situations, maybe not shootings, but definitely we're going to probably hear about more either football or basketball players. And now with these kids with their NIL, maybe even college guys getting run up on. So I just, be careful out there in California, man. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts, man, on Ricky P taking a shot in the chest, man? What are your thoughts?
Shouts out to Ice-T. I was watching an episode of Drink Champs, and Nori likes to ask his guests during the interview, LA or Miami. Basically, he asked the guests which place do you prefer? You prefer LA or you prefer Miami? And a lot of people say either or. It just depends. Ice-T was like thinking about it when Nori asked him, and Ice-T was like, I think I like Miami. Miami is like tropical, is laid back, you know, it's cool and whatever. Out in LA, people still gonna run up on you. It's still hyper violent. People still trying to make a name for themselves using you as an example. Is essentially what Ice-T said. And this is a guy who comes from the area. So I thought that was very interesting to hear Ice-T's perspective on that. But he was definitely Team Miami on that one over LA because of the prospect of violence. And I always thought that Miami was the wild, wild west. I've never been to LA, but apparently, comparatively speaking, Miami must pale in comparison to what goes on out there. Now, granted, the Bay Area is not exactly LA, but California, LA, the Bay Area, all of that good stuff. You can approximate it, I would imagine. So I thought that was very interesting. I don't really have much to add on top of what you said there. I second all of that. But what I will say is not to suggest that these types of things didn't happen in the past. There's always been crime and criminals.
Right.
There's always been stick up boys, jackmen. There's always been people looking to steal, take home invasions, robberies. These things have always happened, right? But in my opinion, I think these increased dire economic circumstances that we're currently in is like, emphasizing the prevalence of things like this taking place. Like people are out here trying to figure out a way to make it. It seems as though if you are not earning as a single person more than 6 figures a year gainfully, and you're able to do that within a stable infrastructure, you're either that or you're below a cut line, which dictates that you sometimes have to come up with creative means to make some kind of scratch or to get some kind of money or to get some kind of ends coming in. And it amplifies the occurrence of all of these stick ups and these jack boys and these robberies. And obviously people like Pearsall are, walking targets. And it doesn't help matters. And you speak on this as well with the music, where you started to notice at some point the music shifted from talking about what they doing in the streets with the selling dope to going to like petty crime and home invasions and robberies. So like when you mix that into the equation, what you have at that point is a powder keg when you combine it with these dire economic circumstances. And I'm sorry, man, but I really do think that we might not be in an officially designated recession, but I personally believe that we are in a soft recession. I think the current economy is literally being maintained by the 10%, and everyone else is just surviving and hoping that it ends. But if you're not combining, if your particular household is not bringing in close to $100,000 a year, whether you're doing that by yourself or you're combining incomes with everyone else that you live within a household with, it's a struggle bus. You're on a struggle bus. And even the streets feel the struggle bus. As tough as they may talk about how you need to check in and what they will and will not do, even the streets can be on the struggle bus. And I think that at least a small part of this is a greater microcosm of these, I would say, difficult economic circumstances. And I don't know, there's no remedy in sight. I don't know when or if it will end. I kind of feel like this is the new normal, personally. I think that these outrageous oil prices, gas prices, grocery prices, these insurance premiums, the price of a home, that was another thing that the Blues are talking about during the DNC, making homes more affordable. I don't see it happening. Call me cynical. I don't see it happening. I think this is the new normal, and people are mad about it and pissed off. And some of the people who are a bit more unhinged than others may resort to situations like this if they can't see a way out for themselves.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I think we got going on out here. And I say to everybody out there, good luck, stay safe, and hope for the best.
Yeah, and for my people out there in California, trust me, I'm out here in Texas right now, man. They're moving out here in the waves, bro. I mean, I'm seeing California plates every day. They're moving out here in droves, and it's because of their economy. The economy over there is trash. The crime over there is out of control, and it's just a recipe. That's what I'm saying. It's really devolving over there in California. So yeah, man, I just really think these are the signs of the times. It's very unfortunate for this young man. I'm glad he made it. I just think that these athletes, man, because everybody knows what you make, you're really, you're already bad enough when people can wiki how much you're making. So I don't think you need to tempt them more with a rollie on the wrist. But I see where he coming from. He a young dude, man. He made it to the league.
People just want to live, man. It's
I
tough.
get it, but you can't live no more. And this is what these guys really have to read the room now. And they really have to read the room and go, hey, man, as much as I worked hard so I can flex like this, you can honestly only flex like that amongst your peers in a safe setting. But you know what I'm saying? Good luck pulling up the Walmart, pumping your gas or whatever with the rollie on the wrist. Yeah. In areas like that, you're running a risk, man. So I think these are signs of the times, man. I don't wish this on anybody, but I would say, man, it crossed over from rappers, and this guy got attacked, and my thing is always about copycat things, and I fear for these young NIL kids, you know what I'm saying, yeah. with they big glistening things. Hell, when Dion and them was playing in UCLA, or they were somewhere in California when Colorado had went over there last season, and they locker room got robbed.
Yeah, USC. That was USC. Yeah.
Yeah, he got robbed.
It was either USC or UCLA. It may have been UCLA.
Yeah, it was one of them schools over there,
Yeah.
And they got robbed because they out here with the iced out chains and all this other stuff. And you know what I'm saying? California is on a different timeline. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're a Californian, man, I ain't dunking on you. I'm just talking about what I see on the news, man. But I'm pretty sure y'all can attest to this. And I'm pretty sure most of y'all want to get up out of there. Because I see the price, I see the housing over there. Like, it's outrageous. It's kind of like New York, where people are paying so much money for nothing. And on top of that, you're not secure. It's best to just get up out of there, man. So best of luck to Ricky P, man. And all the young people out there that's getting their cash, man, be safe, man. This is not 10 years ago when you was growing up watching those dudes do it. These are different times, and people are hurting harder than ever, and they trying to get an easy come up. So be safe, man, and flex in safe zones.
It was UCLA, not USC. Okay, it was UCLA. But I think that, like I said before, I don't want to blame it all on the economic times, because this was, of course, happening historically. This has been happening. Correct. But I do think that most people are hard up economically due to the climate, due to the economy, due to just general financial strife. And I think that has amplified this particular dynamic. Unfortunately, man. And New York, LA, whatever, South Florida, to me, dude, it's all the same. I'm not really seeing much of a difference. I mean, if you want to adjust cost of living, if you want to adjust income to cost of living to sort of see the differentiation, I suppose you can do that. But whether we're talking California, New York, Texas, South Florida, I personally think this is the new normal. This is what I think we are going to have to get accustomed to. You need to be able to afford $400,000 to $500,000 just to put yourself into a single family home nowadays. Now, that I'm in South Florida. That's how things are in South Florida. But I would imagine in most major metropolitan areas, it can't be much different, unless you go further north. But that's because people don't really want to live there because of the winters.
Yeah, dude.
So, so that's they can afford to keep the cost of living in those areas lower because they need people there, because
Mhm.
people are leaving those areas in droves because of the harsh climates. No one likes the winter. And now that economies have, now that not economies, but now that industries have become more agile after the pandemic and more people are remote, everyone's flocking to warmer climates. Everyone is leaving though. Everyone's leaving New York. They try to get to Florida. They trying to get to Texas. If they can afford it, they going to California, Georgia, and it's driving the price of the cost of living up. So I just kind of feel like this is the new normal, unfortunately. For people who have been embedded in these communities their entire lives, it's feast or famine. Either you can afford the cost of living or you can't. And if you can't, sometimes people are resorting to drastic measures to try and figure out a way to do so.
Crazy.
It's unfortunate, man, but this is what has happened, out here in the West with this ridiculous economy. It's very sad. And I guess for Pearsall and others like him, they're gonna have to get on the Steven Jackson wavelength and check in.
Goddamn old block, goddamn it. Oh man.
Shouts out to Pearsall, man. Good luck, bro. I'm glad you made it, man. He gonna miss the first 4 games of the season, I think, as a result of this.
Yeah.
But he'll be all right. But yeah, lesson learned for him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, bro. Get well soon, man.
Now we got Angel Reese, who is defending claims that her rebounding numbers are due to her rebounding her own misses. So obviously, if you're following the WNBA, Angel Reese is a hot button topic, largely due to attention that she draws to herself. But also because she's having a productive rookie season. I'll use that word.
Absolutely.
She's having a productive rookie season. She puts up a lot of rebounds. What is she? She broke the rookie singles. She broke the rookie record for rebounds in the WNBA all time, which there's no slouch on that. So that's an achievement in and of itself. But I guess a lot of people are saying that a lot of her counting numbers and her stats, specifically when it comes to her rebounds, are due to the fact that she's rebounding her own misses. And I guess she decided to address that during a press conference. I'm not sure if this was before or after a game, but she talked about how, people are going to say stuff, but at the end of the day, she's a productive player and she's not on purpose trying to rebound her own misses. So this says Angel Reese addresses the narrative that she only rebounds her own misses. Angel Reese came into the WNBA as an established college basketball superstar. Overall, she was thrust into a rivalry with none other than Caitlin Clark. Clark struggled during her first few outings in the league, while Angel thrived thanks to her rebounding. Earlier in the season, it was believed that Reese was the frontrunner for Rookie of the Year. However, in recent weeks, Caitlin Clark has completely taken over, while Reese has continued to be a rebounding machine. Unfortunately, Reese has been wrapped up in a destructive narrative, I think that's a strong word, about her game. Objectively speaking, her shooting percentages at the rim are atrocious for someone of her size. More often than not, she gets more rebounds than she does points. This has subsequently led to some people claiming that all of her rebounds are from her own misses. While this is not literally the case, it is still a narrative that has people questioning whether or not Reese has a strong enough offensive bag. So here is Miss Reese addressing the idea. Oh, I may have to actually refresh this. So let me refresh it.
Okay.
But here is Angel Reese addressing the idea that her rebounding numbers are coming from her rebounding her own misses. Guess it gotta finish loading a little bit.
I mean, coming into it, I mean, I can do my motor. Offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds is something that I know I can always do. I knew it was going to translate right away. And that's something that a lot of players don't want to do. A lot of people think it's because I get my own rebounds, but statistically it's not. A lot of people think it's because I'm the tallest on the court when I'm not the tallest on the court. So just being able to go down there and being able to bang, doing things that a lot of people don't want to do. Defense and rebounding wins championships. And I've won championships at every level by just doing that. So coming into the league, before I sharpen up on my offensive thing, just being able to come in and have that on my shoulder is something that I can always do. It's something that I knew would translate.
All right, so there you go. The article goes on to say, after a recent loss, Reese was asked about the narrative surrounding her rebounds. Oh, never mind. That's just more of what she was saying. So there you go. So there's Angel Reese defending herself against the notion that her rebounds are due to her rebounding her own misses. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I would say she's got a healthy amount from her own misses. I would agree with that. But I still think it's very impressive what she's done. And the people get on her about her field goal percentage. I think it is the lowest, like within 5 feet of the rim. I think she has the lowest field goal percentage. So that ties into her grabbing her own boards. I'm pretty sure somebody has a metric out there to show how many of her own rebounds she gets per game. But I mean, hell, man, I still think what the young lady is doing is phenomenal. She wants those rebounds. The majority of the time that I'm seeing these highlights of her, she has more want to it than the other ladies around her to go grab those things. So she does have a motor, and she uses it, and she uses it well. So, I just think that it's just people trying to find holes in what she's got going on because of their dislike for her. I also feel like what we're witnessing right now in the WNBA, much like how we see in the actual NBA, is campaign season for all these, awards at the end of the year. And the narrative that's going out there right now, the article used destructive. But the narrative that's out there is that, yeah, she just throws it at the backboard and grab it, throw it, grab it, throw it, grab it. Like there's TikTok videos of little girls that actually play basketball, and they doing their Angel Reese impression where they just keep grabbing the same rebound over and over again, and then finally make it after like 4 rebounds. And it's funny. I get a little chuckle out of it, but I would still say she's up there with the best rebounders of all time for the WNBA stuff, where she just has a motor that's different than the other women out there. I talk about Asia. She's phenomenal, and she'll go out there and do any damn thing, honestly, when she puts her mind to it. And so, but this is Angel's like area. This is her calling card, if you will. So, Dennis Rodman, Ben Wallace kind of thing, and just being effective in that manner. And I think she does it well. So does she get her own misses? Yes, she does. But I still think that she is helping her team, in ways that they never had before. So I'm commending this young lady. I don't know who's going to win Rookie of the Year. Most likely it's going to be Caitlin Clark. But I still think that I personally think this is a situation. That's how I would play it if I was a WNBA. But they might just skew one side or the other to keep the rivalry going throughout their careers. But I think a good thing would be, I think it's appropriate because I think both of them are doing things that are quite exceptional. Now, the thing is, now people want to harp on about Angel Reese is about her field goal percentage within 5 feet. And they want to use that to ding her for her accomplishments. But, I had to double check to see who leads all time in a season for turnovers. So not only is Caitlin Clark leading all rookies of all time in turnovers, well, she's had more turnovers in WNBA history in one season. And honestly, it's not even close. She's right now, she's She's damn near 30 more than the next person ever. That's a lot of turnovers per game. So if somebody wants to sit here and talk about Angel Reese's field goal percentage within 5 feet, then somebody might want to talk about Caitlin Clark's turnover habits, which are quite outrageous. So I think both of them have these things going for them and against them. And Angel Reese, on top of that, she didn't just break the rookie all-time rebounder record. She broke the all-time WNBA record. So that's anybody, rookie or 10-year vet. So I think both of these women are having exceptional seasons. And I hate all this mudslinging because honestly, both of them have flaws in their game, but who's perfect? But I think both of them are very well quite deserving of Rookie of the Year. And I think that all of this Angel slander is unwarranted, to be honest. I don't know why it's so much of it. Yes, she's a boisterous person. Yes, she's loud, I guess, but loud and being herself. Like really, I've seen enough of her to see that this is just who she is. And I think that's what she tried to tell us when she was at college. But I've seen enough of her, how she does things. And it's like, no, that's just who she is. And so when I say loud, I don't mean like loud. She's just a personality. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. So shout out to Angel Reese. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. But I'm very impressed about Angel's game because she's not the most physically gifted person out there. She's not the most coordinated person out there. But she definitely has a motor and a desire harder than other women. And it shows in her stats. So what are your thoughts, sir, on Miss Angel Reese defending herself on getting all those boards? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a person can say she's rebounding all of her own misses, but then I would say, well, she's rebounding her own misses. Like
Right.
it takes a certain amount of effort to
Right.
be able to do that at the clip that she does it. And you want a player like that on your team who provides that kind of an effort most, if not every game. That's an invaluable person to have on the roster. And that is a force multiplier when it comes to positively impacting a team's championship aspirations.
Correct.
And she averages 5.2 offensive rebounds a game, which is a lot, to be honest. That is a lot. And then she averages 7.9 defensive rebounds a game. So essentially, if you combine offensive and defensive, she averages 13 rebounds a game, which is impressive. But when you are dealing with a sport that devalues everything except shooting, you're going to have players who specialize in things like rebounding, thereby being devalued. And that the men's game or the women's game, basketball in general, and we talk about this a lot, is just about ball skills and shooting threes. And the majority of the credit or spotlight goes to the players who have the best ball skills and can shoot threes. If you can't do either of those things at an elite level, preferably both, you're going to be relegated to just being an also-ran. And so I think part of that is what's going on with Angel Reese. But also, I think narratives around players are largely due to the juxtaposition between the narrative and their expectations. So I think the reason why people are hyper fixated on Angel Reese's faults as an individual player is because of the fact that she came out of college being heralded as a superstar. So if you come out of college and it's like this person can be a superstar, and they get in, and you get into the league and you're essentially a high-end role player, people are going to start taking knocks. People are going to start kind of, taking subtle jabs at you because you're not a superstar. And then also there's the underlying proximity between her and Caitlin Clark. And so that also is an undeniable component because people who are advocates of and want to see Caitlin Clark become Rookie of the Year are probably going to be the first individuals lining up to talk about how Angel Reese rebounds her own misses.
Correct.
But again, like I said, someone who averages 13 points a game and who even can muster up close to 5 offensive rebounds a game. That to me is a skill. It's just a skill that people have devalued because the culture around basketball these days is ball skills and threes. And what Caitlin does way better than Angel Reese is ball skills and shooting threes. So this is what you get as a result. The one thing that I will say though is, with respect to Caitlin Clark's turnovers, I hear what you're saying, but there's a bit of a Luka dynamic going on with Caitlin Clark. She has the ball way too much.
She does.
She is the Fever play a heliocentric form of basketball.
That's a good word.
They do. It's very akin. It's very akin to the way the Mavericks play with Luka, where every single possession for nearly every second of the shot clock, Caitlin Clark has the ball.
Yeah.
And even if Caitlin Clark gives it up, she's going to run and try to get off a screen to reposition herself to get the ball back. And essentially, the only time that she's giving the ball up and not getting it back is when she's passing it to somebody on her team who's in position to score. Hence her high assist numbers. But just because you get a lot of assists, in my opinion, doesn't make you a great playmaker. It just means you have the ball in your hands so damn much that you're going to rack up assists, because the only time you're passing it is when someone's in position to score. Thus, you record an assist in the stat sheet for yourself. So I feel as though Caitlin Clark will become even better as a playmaker and a passer if the Fever as an organization can continue to improve the roster and get other playmakers on the team so that she isn't always having the ball in her hands every single possession and every second of every shot clock. Because those types of teams do not win championships. I don't care if it's the men's game or the women's game. No team wins a championship when you have one player eating up the possession of the ball for the majority of the shot clock throughout the course of every game. Other than that, though, I do think that they're both great. I'm not trying to take nothing away from either one of them. I do think Caitlin is better, and I think that her turnover numbers are a symptom of her having the ball too much. I also will not take anything away from Angel, but I think she is what she is. She's not a superstar. She's not a star. To me, she's a high-end role player who has tremendous skills when it comes to rebounding. And as a plus in the column for her, she's not a liability at the free throw line, because usually players who are prolific when it comes to the skill of rebounding tend to be liabilities at the free throw line. So you can just kind of foul them and have them miss at the free throw line. But she makes the majority. Excuse me. She makes the majority of her free throws. So she's not a liability on that front. But I don't want to take anything away from Angel. She's good. I think expectations need to be put in their proper perspective. And this was not her fault. This was the WNBA and the NBA and the media trying to tout her as something that she is not. And she's not a star. But there's nothing wrong with that. She's a high-end role player, which is great. You want as many high-end role players as possible. And that's where her specialties lie. She's a very skilled rebounder. Give me somebody who gets 13 rebounds a game any day of the week. I'll take them on my roster. And in some cases, I'll take players like that more than I'll take somebody who has the ball in their hands the whole damn time. I don't like ball-dominant basketball players. I really don't. And I think with the exception of LeBron, LeBron is probably the only hyper ball-dominant player that's ever won. And the years where LeBron has won, he had other people so that he can come off the ball. The years where he lost in the playoffs, which is a lot, were the majority of the years where he was all ball dominant. He had the ball in his hands the whole damn time. But I don't care whether it's LeBron in the years where he lost, Luka, James Harden. I don't care what player you want to name. Ball dominant players don't win. They just don't, man or woman. So I like Caitlin Clark. I just think she needs to come off the ball a little bit. But with the shade being thrown Angel's way because she gets her own rebounds, so what? That's a skill, and it's a coveted skill. More teams need to value it than not.
I agree, man. So, we'll see what happens, bro. I agree that, Caitlin, she's a special talent. And so I don't besmirch what she's doing at all. But, I brought up her turnover things because people want to bring up field goal percentage within 5 feet. Now,
Right.
how often do we talk about that?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so if people want to dig in the weeds about that, well, go look at her turnover numbers and go see how it's clearly more than everybody else. And so, what do y'all want to say about that? And, oh well, it's like, okay, man. So cut these women some slack. They're both young, and and I do think Angel Reese is a star. I do think she has what it takes to be um uh like a real force in the WNBA. I've seen
I was mainly talking on what she is currently. Like
okay.
she's a high end role player.
Yeah, but I've seen her developing, and I've seen her take shots. It looked kind of Bill Cartwright. You know what I'm saying? That thing ugly like Cartwright, but she be hitting that thing. So I see her try to stretch her range. I see her try to work on stuff, and I really think that she's taking a lot of this stuff personal. I don't think she's just out there to look pretty. I think she really loves basketball and takes this serious. Not to say that you didn't say that, but I really think she's into this. So I think we're definitely not going to hear the last of her, whether it comes to rebounding or scoring or anything defense or whatever. I think she's a real presence down there. Her and that other girl they drafted, that other tall girl, the one that was from South Carolina.
Cardosa.
Yeah. So
Yes,
I like
yeah.
both. I like both of them. Those were phenomenal picks.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with them, man. But I really think it's a cold season, man. And I think the WNBA needs to do that for good branding. And I think that keeps everybody engaged with this. That keeps the Reese people engaged. It keeps the Caitlin people engaged. And it also keeps that debate going throughout their whole career. So I think they're both warranted. The Carmelo LeBron year. I thought it was Carmelo, but the league saw LeBron, or it was somebody else. It was LeBron or somebody else. It was something like that where it was like real contentious. But the league has an opportunity here to play it the right way. So we'll see what happens. But most likely, I think it's going to be Caitlin. I think she's going to win Rookie of the Year. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think so too, but honestly, I think she should. But again, it's easy to say that. The counting numbers are all in her favor, but she has the ball so much. That's my thing. Like sometimes in basketball, the way we talk about, commentate, analyze basketball, you have to take into account things like that. Caitlin Clark is a great productive player, but she also has the ball in her hands so much that how does that factor into the kind of numbers she's putting up? She has the ball all the time. Every possession, she has the ball, the majority of the shot clock. So that's my whole thing. Like, I think she should get it, but I'm also somebody who recognizes ball dominant players when I see it. And right now, she's playing heliocentric basketball. It's all ball dominant. A play does not get made unless she makes it.
Yeah.
And that's not really conducive to winning. It's conducive to putting up numbers, but it ain't conducive to winning. And I don't think she is even the best version of herself as a player,
right?
Playing like that. Yeah,
right.
Like the best players are the players who can be just. I keep saying this, but the best players are the best players. Basketball are those who know how to be effective both on and off the ball. And right now, Caitlin Clark is doing her Jason Tatum thing, where either she has the ball the whole time, or if she doesn't have the ball, she's not active. And that's my only gripe with her.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes, man. Shouts out to both of them, Caitlin and Angel.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Cameron and Mace, who are back with their It Is What It Is show after a summer hiatus. And they had to touch on Marcus Jordan, who apparently went viral. Well, who went viral for apparently doing what looks like indulging in that white girl.
No Larsa Pippen, man.
No Larsa Pippen here, man. No Larsa Pippen here, man. But Marcus Jordan, bro, talk about Talk about not living up to your family legacy.
Jeez.
But a while back, Marcus Jordan went viral on the interwebs for what appears to be him having a little fun with that white powdery substance, if you know what I mean. And Cameron and Mace spared no expense, taking advantage of their return to their show after a bit of a vacation to make a little fun about it and talk about it. So this says Cameron and Mace hilariously roast Michael Jordan's son and shade Michael Irvin in the process. Cameron and Mace have one of the best sports talk shows out right now. Overall, it is what it is. It's proven to be must-watch programming. Moreover, it was the catalyst for these two to reconcile their differences and become best friends again. Over the past couple of years, the show has been a massive hit, and the fans absolutely adore it. However, they were recently on a bit of a hiatus to enjoy the summer break and get some much-deserved rest. Now the show is officially back as the NFL season is about to commence this weekend. Fans could not be more excited for the next 6 months, and it is what it is. We'll be providing commentary throughout. In fact, on Monday, they had Michael Irvin as a guest. Following their segment with Irvin, they discussed the recent images of Michael Jordan's son, Marcus, appearing to snort what looks like cocaine. Given Irvin's past issues with cocaine, Cameron and Mace had a moment in which they couldn't stop laughing. So here is that clip of them talking about this.
We have a lot of weeks to see the progress happen, man. But thanks, Mike. We appreciate you on the first day, baby.
They're all my brothers, man. I appreciate you, man. Thanks, dog.
Salute, baby.
All right. Okay. So before we end the show, we just got a couple more topics to discuss. So Michael Jordan's son, Marcus Jordan, was caught sniffing a white substance in some photos that went viral earlier in the month next to his new girlfriend. Of course, a lot of memes were thrown around, but what was you guys' initial reaction to seeing those pictures?
Yeah, wait for Mike to get on talking about that cocaine.
Yeah, bring that and want to trigger him.
Yeah, we ain't want nobody to get triggered. Good time is that.
Good time. That was quick on your feet, Stat.
Listen, man.
All right, so basically they were saying it's a good thing we started talking about this once we were done with the Irvin interview, because Michael Irvin has his history with the same powdery substance, and we wouldn't want to trigger Michael Irvin by talking about it while he's still here. So, we never did talk about this when it actually happened in real time, but, Marcus Jordan was getting, roasted for this. Just the fall from grace. This, of course, coming off the heels of his embarrassing tryst with Larsa Pippen. The article goes on to say, as the two proclaimed, they were happy to bring up the topic after Irvin had already left. Otherwise, he could have ended up triggered by the conversation. It was all very silly, and you can tell that their moderator, Stat Baby, thought it was hilarious. Ultimately, it is yet another example of how this show continues to provide some laughs. We are just happy to have them back in time for the sports season. So, what did you make of that exchange there, as well as this situation with Marcus Jordan and whatever it is he got going on?
Man, well, what's going on with Marcus? So, got a few things to say here. All right. So, one, okay, yeah, I get it. It's this is so one thing I realized from their little show here is that they do these viral moments. These are scripted viral moments. So we covered the Wade thing where Cam just walks off set, but then ironically puts on a purse. Right. And we've covered other things that they do that gets them in algorithms. So this one I saw is the same play. They play this at the end of their show where they get them it's good showmanship. It's good walk off with a good joke type of thing. So they're pretty good at that. So hopefully Michael was in on it. I am a Canes fan. He is Canes royalty. So I don't take Michael Irvin slander well unless it's in good fun. So it looks like they're having good fun with it. And so long as Michael was in on it on the back end, that's all good. But if they played him, that's kind of lame. But the other thing going on here that I found interesting was Mace's Ozempic face. I'm like, yo, bro, like, what's going on, bro? Did you hit the gym in the last 2 months, or what did I miss? So yeah, Mace definitely had a I don't know, a Lizzo-esque weight loss. And then finally the Marcus Jordan thing, because we didn't cover this when it was hot news. But when I saw those things circulate, now mind you, we're dealing with, you know, people that can afford this lifestyle, people that are always around people that are doing this. And when you're on that powder like that, you know, I'm sure, you know, being bold is a thing. So, you know, being bold with it. And I don't see anybody else getting caught though, you know? And so for him to get caught doing this out in the open, this just adds to the layer of, you know, public perception and shame that he's bringing to the Jordan brand. And honestly, just the fumbling of the bag that he's doing. Because I don't think it's so much that it's shaming Jordan's brand name. I think it's more or less everybody's looking at Marcus like, what in the hell are you doing? You know, when you are Michael Jordan's son, you can go anywhere or anything. And, you know, you're choosing to be dating Larsa Pippen and snorting mysterious white powders shirtless with another man. And so I think what Marcus needs, man, I think he really needs a come to Jesus moment. I think he really needs somebody to try to rein him in, because he's fumbling all kinds of baggery and fumbling all kinds of status points. Just a disgrace, to be honest. I am glad he got out of the Larsa Pippen fiasco. I mean, that was just a mess. I can't believe he was even talking about getting her pregnant and marrying her. So I'm glad that's not on the table, but then this pops up on his table. So yeah, man, tisk on Marcus, man. I hope the guy gets well, but the honestly, man, the path that I've seen this guy take throughout his career, it just seems like he's going to have more public gaffes. So unfortunately, I think this is one of many to come. It may not be mysterious white powder related, but he's definitely going to be TMZ in it. I think that's his new lane, unfortunately. But what are your thoughts on all of this, man? Mace, Cam, Marcus Jordan, Michael Irvin, Stat Baby. What are your thoughts, man?
Stat Baby. Yeah, Cam and Mace, they do stuff like this to add some entertainment factor to the show. So it's par for the course. That's kind of consistent with what they like to do over there. And I do think it's funny. I find Mace to be naturally funny.
He's a funny guy.
Like Mace is just naturally funny. His delivery, like he's just a funny guy. He reminds me of when you talk about how there are certain comedians who you find to be naturally funny, but they're not good comedians.
Yeah.
Like Mace strikes me as the kind of person who maybe he wouldn't be a good stand-up comic, but every time you have a conversation with him, it's going to be some funny stuff.
I agree.
But you know, really this Marcus Jordan thing, you know, Marcus Jordan is starting to look like the trust fund baby.
Yeah.
Who is just riding the coattails of everything that his parents built, or rather their parents built, and not really putting in any work, not really doing anything for himself. Any sort of initiative that does get created is created solely off of the muscle of whatever their parents create for them, the infrastructure that they can provide. But if you were to take everything away and cut them off, they probably wouldn't even know how to survive. They couldn't figure it out on their own.
Mhm.
That's kind of what this is looking like, if this is real and not all just some huge celebrity publicity stunt. I mean, the Larsa Pippen thing just made absolutely zero sense whatsoever.
None.
This woman is like damn near 20 years older than you. She's all plasticed up, BBL'd up, lip lipoed, all kinds of, and you're just going to, and on top of that, the baggage with the mileage on her, and she's got 3 children, and you're just going to sign up for that willingly. It speaks to a person who is prone to making bad decisions.
Yeah.
It's very Zion Williamson like.
Yeah.
He is just a person who mentally did not acquire the skill of good decision making. That's what he looks like to me. And it wouldn't shock me one bit if he ended up going all the way and getting a stripper or an adult film actress or a woman otherwise of the evening pregnant and ended
Yeah.
up trying to figure out a way to co-parent with her and cohabitate with her, because that's what guys with poor decision-making habits do. You know, even if you did want to indulge in the white powdery substance, have the wherewithal to do it in such a way that you're not going to get caught on camera doing it. Like, in and of itself, that's a poor
Right.
decision.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to say don't get into it, but you are so I don't give a damn about life that
Right.
you don't even care if people are filming you doing it.
Correct.
That is the sign of an individual who makes poor choices. And the world has enough men in it that make poor choices. We don't need any more. We don't need more. There needs to be a cutoff of this. And if I'm to go even further than that, and this may sound a bit cruel and judgmental, but these guys shouldn't be reproducing.
Damn.
They shouldn't be reproducing. You make, like, you know, I'm serious. Seriously, like, don't perpetuate this. Don't continue the broken cycle. Cut it off at some point. You know, now the other brother, we don't never hear about him.
Nah,
So
he
he
chilling.
must, yeah, he must be on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, he chilling.
Marcus apparently is the wayward one.
Yes.
But it's just like, man, you know, I think, you know, this strikes a chord with me just from a perspective of being a man. He represents all of the unbecoming characteristics of being a man. You know, not possessing the skills to fend for oneself, not by all appearances possessing the skills or the wherewithal to be able to build a foundation for yourself from the ground up. You require the infrastructure of the individuals who already built it for you, in this case, your father. And then in relation to women, you make poor choices. Those to me are the 3 pillars of a man not manning in today's world. And it's sad and unfortunate. I wish that I couldn't say this, but I can. There's more where he came from. They're a dime a dozen. And I just hope that for his sake, he figures it out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I couldn't say it any better myself, bro. That's a good way of putting it, you know, trust fund baby. That's basically how he's coming up, like, you know, grown ass kid. And yeah, man. I mean, I don't. You know, this it's just a mess up situation. I don't know what Jordan did or didn't do, did or didn't tell him, you know, how he advises him, you know, who this guy talks to, but that's what I'm saying. This guy has access to it all. So I wasn't really surprised he was doing it. But it was shocking. The shocking part about it was like I said, nobody else gets caught doing this. And I know it's a lot of people do it. I know Larsa Pippen does it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm you know, Scotty looked like he owned it. But I mean, to be out, that's what I'm saying, to be out and about and doing that and just, you know, at a venue is wild business to me. Last thing I'll say, I think I shared this here before, but I'll say it again. But yeah, man, when I was Uber driving and stuff, man, I had picked up a dude who was you know, big time restaurateur guy in South Beach. And he was telling me, man, that's what goes on at these celebrity things, entertainers, athletes, or whatever. and they'll bring out your appetizers, they'll bring out your napkins and your fork, and also a platter of cocaine. And so this is what goes on in these circles anyway. And so I'm sure he's, like I said, he can afford the lifestyle. He can afford to be around these people. This is normal business for him, I'm sure. But when you get into that lifestyle, you talk about bad decision making, because it's already a bad decision to do that, right? But when people be on that stuff, man, I mean, their consciousness is really, that's what I'm saying. They get real bold about life. And so I'm pretty sure he's so much on it that it was like, man, I'm taking a bump right here. So, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, for him to be on it like that, yeah, man, the internet they gonna make fun. I think everybody is cheering for this dude. I don't think there's any Marcus Jordan haters. I think there's just Marcus Jordan people that are just confused by his actions.
It's disappointment.
I think it's universal disappointment.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say. I was just saying that's what it is. It's disappointment. I think that's the general reaction towards him.
Yeah, I think everybody wanted this guy to be something. We found out he wasn't nothing. Everybody was still cool with that. Everybody was still rocking with him, and everybody was up in arms about the Larsa Pippen thing. And people are making fun of this too, but it's also on some, come on, man. Not like, oh, this guy's a bum. It's like, what are you doing? So, yeah, man, get it together, Marcus. Get well, bro. Put yourself in somewhere. You got the resources to clean yourself up. If you don't do it this year, do it sometime soon, man. But, you got a whole life to live, bro. He's younger than us.
Yeah.
So he got a whole life to live, man. So clean it up, man, and make better decisions in life, Brody. I'm
with you there. Shouts out, look up, there's a video floating around, an interview that Jaguar Wright did. Jaguar Wright, like an old school R&B soul singer. She's throwing everybody under the bus. Jay-Z, Diddy, the Diddler. She's throwing everybody under the bus. And she talked about what you talked about, of like how celebrities roll. You go to a restaurant and they bring you your tray, and it's got the white powdery substance on it. That is literally exactly what you just described. Jaguar Wright talks about that in that interview. I don't know who she did the interview with. It's some podcast, but just look up Jaguar Wright Diddy interview or something like that. It's on World Star. You could probably find it on YouTube, but she mentions that. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think the thing with Marcus is disappointment. Like, the world is your oyster, and it isn't you indulging in this in and of itself. It's just the carelessness with which he's doing it. And I think that one can correlate that carelessness with his general propensity for making bad choices.
Agreed.
So, it's unfortunate. And I do think the world is better off with more principled men who make sound, better choices on a regular enough basis. And it sucks to see a guy devoid of that. But, men have been stripped of a lot of manly qualities in recent memory, I would say. So it just looks like he was a victim of that. But hopefully he can get it together and figure it out. It is what it is, man. Content for the channel, nevertheless. But until next time, we are going to go ahead and close things out, man. JV wins. Dogon SS, as always. Conscious Approach on YouTube. Check us out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this video. Let us know what you think about any video. We certainly appreciate the support as we continue to grow out this community. Catch me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS, and catch Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, CONAPPROACH. Uploading the audio file so that you can get it wherever you get your podcast. So play us up on those algorithms too, man. We want the Spotify, the Pandora, the Apple podcast algorithms to play us up there too, as we continue to try to grow this thing out. Until next time, we appreciate the support. Thank you for allowing us to kick this logical content. Please remember to think for yourself. And until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.
And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube. What's that? DraftKings, TikTok, MySpace. God damn, man. Just go ahead and put Dogon_SS. I shall pop up. Now, if there's some imposters out there, all right. So y'all better beware, man. There's only one Dogon SS out here, all right. So as I say on every pod, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, my peoples, we'll catch y'all on the next episode.
Yeah, we out of here. We ain't gonna talk about the Florida State Seminoles. We're gonna leave that alone. We'll leave that alone. Hey man, go Heat, go Dolphins, man. Florida State is a lost year. Go Heat, go Dolphins.
Okay, Cam Ward for Heisman.
Yeah. All right, we're done. We are done.